Hi everybody, welcome to Middle Grade Monday. Today I'm going to tell you about some adventure books, survival out in the great wilderness, the great unknown. 5 completely different books. We're going to start with Lifeboat 12 by Susan Hood. This one is a historical adventure and survival book. It's based on actual events and it's told in verse, so there's something for everyone. It's 1940, England, World War II, the beginning of the Blitz, and 13-year-old Kenneth Sparks is selected as part of a program to go to Canada to send British children to the safety of the UK's overseas dominions. When his ship is torpedoed, Kenneth, 5 other boys from the program, and 40 adults make it aboard Lifeboat 12, one of the only lifeboats remaining after the evening's gale force winds. Together, they must survive the North Atlantic in a boat with limited supplies. There's also a well-organized array of back matter, the stuff in the back, including an author's note, some nonfiction accounts of the real Lifeboat 12, photos, an essay on the author's sources and research technique, and there's even documented source notes for a significant amount of the book's dialogue. This book is fiction, but it is really well researched and based on an actual survival adventure during World War II. So this one's good for anybody who's looking for that on the seas, high stakes adventure book, but also a bit of historical fiction and fact blended in there. Next up, we have The Trail by Mika Hashimoto. It's about 12-year-old Toby. He and his best friend Lucas made a list of 10 things to do the summer before they entered middle school. And now Lucas is gone. So Toby sets out to fulfill the promise he made to his best friend and finish the list. All he has to do is hike the Appalachian Trail from the Velvet Rocks to Mount Katahdin. It's an undertaking he is poorly prepared for and which will become not only a struggle for his own survival, but a rescue mission for the starving and abused dog who he finds along the way. Hiking the Appalachian Trail is not for the faint of heart. The trail extends from Georgia to Maine for more than 2,000 miles. Toby is determined to make his way across the last 400 plus miles of the trail through Maine. It's the state that hosts the hardest mile of the entire trek. Toby knows enough to bring gear, food, and money, but he quickly gets into trouble when he runs out of food and becomes chilled. Luckily, he's rescued by 2 older teens, easygoing Denver and scowling Sean. Toby's belief that he has bad luck is reinforced by all the trials he experiences. He encounters wild animals, withstands extreme weather conditions, and witnesses the best and the worst of human nature. When Toby finds himself in a life-threatening situation with Denver and Sean, he learns that he can be self-reliant and a leader instead of a follower. A great survival book called, The Trail. It's a great book. Now, a little bit of nonfiction. Survival. Real Tales of Endurance in the Face of Disaster by Tom McCarthy. This one is nonfiction. It's a collection of true stories of survival. You'll discover accounts of wilderness survival that required innovation, a thirst for adventure, and even a bit of brutality, including Shackleton on the frozen landscape of Antarctica, and William Bligh and his loyal followers adrift in the Pacific after a mutiny on the Bounty. William Manley loses his wagon train while crossing Death Valley. Charlotte Picard and her family are shipwrecked on the way to Senegal. And then there's the Donner Party. Not all the stories are for the faint of heart, but they are all true and fabulous adventure and survival stories. They're great also if you're looking for some small bites of adventure instead of one long story. So that's called Survival by Tom McCarthy. Next up, something a little different. It's called The Light Jar by Lisa Thompson. It's about Nate. He and his mother are escaping from his emotionally abusive stepfather, Gary. But they go to a rundown and abandoned cottage in the woods, and it doesn't really seem like much of a refuge to Nate. When his mother goes off to buy provisions and doesn't come back for days, Nate is left alone, except for his imaginary friend, Sam, and he's afraid. Until a mysterious girl trying to solve the clues of a long-ago treasure hunt turn up. This book is eerie and atmospheric. It's told in first person from Nate's point of view, and it includes many in-depth conversations with Sam, which gives you a lot of insight on how Nate's mind is working. Nate works through his fears, both the real and the imaginary, and there's also the suspense and mystery to keep you guessing until the end. And finally today, The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. Something a little different from your typical survival story. This one is a science fiction adventure starring Roz the robot. In the wake of a hurricane, a crate washes up on an island's shore, where some curious otters tug it open, accidentally pressing a button as they do so. A shiny new robot, Rosum Unit 7134, whirs to life. But this is not a flashbang robot adventure. It's more of a WALL-E style tale of wilderness survival and friendship. Roz, the robot, is clearly not built for life in the wild, but she uses her ability to learn from her surroundings to adapt. By observing the island's animals, who initially think she's a monster, she learns to camouflage herself, and eventually she even speaks their language. When she adopts an orphaned gosling, the island's animals finally warm to her. Although there is much about the story that is charming, the author doesn't gloss over the harsher aspects of life in the wild. But a logic-driven robot provides the perfect way to objectively observe nature's order. And then one day, a ship arrives, shattering the island's peace and activating Roz's survival instincts. And with a good reason. No spoilers, but there's a sequel. So there you have it, 5 very different survival and adventure stories. Really, I think, something for everybody. If you're signed up for the Teen Summer Reading Program, your code this week is ELEPHANT, capital E, ELEPHANT. Head over to your account on Read Squared, you can use the site or the app, and click on the Events tab, and then on this week's Middle Grade Monday. Enter the code ELEPHANT for 20 points toward the end of the summer raffle tickets. And if you're a teen ages 12 to 19 in Central New York and you're not signed up for the summer reading program, head over to the Manlius Library website, manliuslibrary.org, and sign up today. There's lots of reading, lots of fun activities, and tons of great prizes. Now, I've got a fun and endlessly creative activity to show you, and all you need are Legos. So the weather this spring and summer has been absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure that everybody is taking full advantage of it and playing outside and walking and being just in the outdoors as much as you possibly can. But this is Central New York. So you know it's going to rain at some point, or maybe it's just going to be too hot, or maybe you're just looking for something to do inside. I recommend Lego art. All you need is a plate of any size. I'm using these little ones. And Legos. You can use any Legos you want at all. I happen to have a giant collection of just singles, but you could use any size Legos that you want. Now, normally people look at Legos as a building material. It's a STEAM thing, it's a construction thing, it's maybe engineering, but it can also be a really good creative tool. All you need are a bunch of Legos in whatever colors that you want and a plate in whatever color that you want. I'm going to use the gray one because I think the Legos will show up. And then you just make art. You could do anything you want. I like the singles because it allows you to do more intricate detail work, but if you only have the doubles and the bigger pieces, have at it. Just you put your Legos on the plate, whatever pattern that you want. And once you have your picture done, there's all kinds of things you can do with it. You could print it and turn it into a greeting card or a poster. You could hang it up. You could, if you have a device, a phone or a tablet or something else with a camera on it, or if you have a camera, you could take a picture of it, and there's lots of apps out there that will let you manipulate the picture and have it look like a coloring sheet or a famous art, oil painting, or any other kind of style of art that you happen to like. So all you need are Legos and your imagination. I did not think through what I was going to do with the Legos this time. So this is just my design, and as you can see, it's very basic, but you could fill it in, do anything that you want. All it takes is Legos. Well, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's Middle Grade Monday. You've got 5 different survival books that you might want to read. You've got a very simple, very easy, endlessly creative activity that you can do. And you've got a secret code for the Teen Summer Reading Program. That's ELEPHANT, capital E, ELEPHANT. I'm Lorie. I'm a librarian here at Manlius Library, and you can find me here on the Manlius Library YouTube channel every Monday at 4 o'clock for Middle Grade Monday. Have a great week. I'll see you next time, and happy reading.